I want us to take a glance at the gaming industry currently. There is now the theme, and to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that anybody would have seen coming the moment we saw the big titans in the gaming space eventually start doing layoffs. Marvel Spider-Man 2, even when the game was launched, we remember that around the time that the Insomniac League came out, we saw that somewhere in the mix, Sony was reportedly pressuring its studios to make big cuts amid increasing development cost. We also just recently heard that the Callisto Protocol studio confirms layoffs as former employee claims, in quote, most of the devs affected. Job cuts required to remain agile, insist parent company Krafton. Now, I remember some of you were gyrating when Krafton took hold of Tango Gameworks, not realizing that Tango Gameworks was a studio that, if you actually look through a lot of what been going on, I don't think Bethesda managed that studio with a very good level of accountability. That's just my take. The Evil Within games that they did, their sales, when I looked them up, they were not impressive. And when I say impressive, I don't say, oh, wow. No, I'm talking about from the perspective of they didn't seem like they could sustain a studio in terms of revenue, because that's where the whole paradigm is going. Can a studio's game make enough sales to be able to make enough profits for the publisher and still sustain keeping the studio open? In light of this, a strange contrast is highlighted here. Destin got to interview the Kingdom Come Deliverance, folk. One of them, Sartobi281, who is the PR manager for Warhorse Studios. And there was something very interesting in the conversation I wanted to go ahead and point out here, because I think, and this is my thinking process, that this is going to be the direction that the industry is going to need to go to survive. At the same time, I want us to also acknowledge that Xbox's approach, because we must, if not, people are going to start saying a whole bunch of wacky nonsense in terms of bringing a game like Avowed and making these small titles and ensuring that they can find ways for these games to grow and sell, or the way that it's taking a game to PlayStation is a sustainable business model. I don't know if y'all have noticed that the whole noise has gotten quiet a little bit. Don't worry, I'll make another video for you very soon, hopefully, God willing, so we can revel in the silence from all those who are laughing at Xbox. Ready? Let's listen to what Destin's interviewer or interviewee says.
A question from a patron here I was just bringing up, but yeah, I am impressed with the rumored budgets. You can't give me any indication, I imagine, but if you could.
Oh, dude, I mean, it's, that budget is always a thing where it depends on how you look at the number, but I can absolutely tell you that what's floating around the internet is not completely wrong. So it's a it's not low, but it's a double-digit number.
So this game was made with a very tiny itsy-bitsy budget. This is why I've been on PlayStation's neck with Sucker Punch. They were able to deliver Ghost of Tsushima with a very humble budget, if those numbers are real. Around 60M is the number that was floating around for Ghost of Tsushima. It could be off, but again, this is something that these kinds of games that are being made with these kinds of budget need to return. If anybody wants to go ahead and also doubt these kinds of games in terms of their validity, you got to remember that they used to make heavily, impactful games with this amount of money. I don't think that you would have found anything from 2019 through 2011 that, in terms of, budget wise, that was reaching the 200 million, budget number. Maybe there might have been some outliers, but remember when Konami almost dry heaved to death when, Kojima almost moved them into the $80 million price point in terms of Metal Gear Solid 5? Do y'all remember that the game had already scaled and had reached about $80 million in 2015, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, Kojima, he likes to make these expensive games. Do y'all remember that? If you think about that timeline, and if you think about now, it's weird that what used to seem heavy is now the miracle number in terms of making these games,
which is already different to that double-digit million number. I mean, that is already different to most of the Western products. But what was important, or what is the key thing to take away, I think, is important for us as a studio, why we were even be able to tell our publisher, hey, listen, we need a little bit more time. Can we?
Listen to this, please.
We get that, is that that KCD1 pretty much made all the money we needed for the protection of KCD2. So that was very important. We didn't have the pressure, at least not from that perspective. So no one was there like with a calculator showing all the time. So that was good. Plus KCD1 is kind of became an evergreen. So whenever there's a sale anywhere, people are like, I just buy it to have it in the library, which is
I'm not gonna lie. I have not played it yet. But I got this. Oh my gosh. It's just interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that he is right. Once you own an IP like that people like, and many people recommended it. I also told you guys too that I found out that I bought the game and then Epic Games gave the game away for free. And I mean, I guess I could have refunded my copy if I wanted to, but I was like, nah, I just kept the copy that I have after finding out that, oh, Epic Games went ahead and, they went ahead and hooked everybody up with the game and the title. So he's not wrong. The game did have a very long tail end in terms of its following and such. Here's the Epic Games version here that they gave away. So there is something to be said, about that, and, that's just a little bit of fortune on their favor. But again, not going straight into, all kinds of debts to make it happen, I think has been probably the most favorable thing for them. You know what I mean? Or going into the hole with big amounts of money.
good. Okay, take it. We don't mind. At the end, we managed to have like 8 million copies sold, which of course you need to take this with a grain of salt because the game was like, what, $5 or something at the end.
Hey, I mean, $5. Let's say you sold 4 million of those copies for $5. That's still a good amount of money, right? That's 40M on top of whatever you would have sold the game at, maybe $40 and $60. I mean, that's a nice chunk of change coming in.
But still, it was an income, a much welcomed income. And now KCD2 is also very successful and is right now already everything we are earning right now, all the copies we are now selling are already financing future products.
This video was made.
Wow, that is insane. And to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I think the gaming industry needs to see more. Shout out to Destin for copying that interview. And the full interview is going to be on his Patreon. I think it's one of those very important stories that we need to pretty much pay attention to and listen to very carefully. Because, the talk about the gaming industry right now is that it's not in a good place. And what we need are good managers and good management. I mean, if you think about even what's going on with the game Space Marine 2, that was also another game which its budget was quite low as well. And they ranked as one of the top selling games on Steam for the year 2024. So they did make a lot of money and they're coming out, strong with potentially other games down the road. But my 2 cents on the issue. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.